Hello, once again. It's been a while since I've done a video. It's got to be months, I think. But anyway, this one is in honor of actually finishing this Iron Hills army that I started back in January. If you've been following the previous videos, you'll know that the majority of these are converted from Warriors Khazad Doom, partly because it's a lot cheaper, partly just because I really want them to fit the aesthetic of the Murin Dra down here and this old Dane. So I was going to do a quick kind of go through what I've done and stuff, but let's start with Dane. This is the original Dane, like the one that was made before the Hobbit films came out. As you see, he's got an axe rather than a hammer. So he would obviously make a very, very good proxy for the old Dane from the, sort of his Erebor reclaimed army list. And I probably will build that. I've got planned in mind to perhaps convert a Thorin Stonehelm and the other members of Thorin's company that were present at the Siege of Erebor. And they'll be converted from Warriors Khazad Doom as well to fit the aesthetic. But the thing is, at the end of the day, he's a Dane model, so I don't really mind if the model's got an axe and I'm going to run him as a hammer. Games Workshop should have given us the option, but they didn't, so, although I guess it's kind of Peter Jackson's fault for giving him a hammer when like the only weapon he's ever described as using by Tolkien is an axe, but I'm not gonna get too pedantic. So let's have a look at Murin and Dra. These guys I bought on MTO a couple of years ago, just because they're really cool models. I wanted to paint them, and then I was like, oh, actually, I've recently bought this Dane, so why not do both? Why not have both? Why not? Iron Hills, they give you the option to run these guys as heroes, and I was like, they look quite fun. Let's do that. And I've converted a captain from the Warriors Khazad Doom, just because captains are always good. They're always decent models. I really rate captains. Just in general, like any army that's got captains, you've got a decent cheap hero. And I think pretty much every captain has March, which is obviously really important for dwarves. I might do some sort of goat rider things for these guys at some point. They'd probably be using ponies, just because I find the goat thing a bit daft, but that's just me. But let's get back to this captain. As you can see, basically I've given them a spear, I've sculpted a cloak, and a really ridiculous plume, and I love it because look, it's like going almost up to his eyes. It covers his whole helmet. It's just mad, and I like it. And then we'll take a look at the warriors. You can probably notice they've got sort of different colour beards, and I just thought that would be fun to just colour the beards. And before anybody goes, oh, why are they dyed? It's Tolkien. Oh, well, actually, Dwalin's describing the Hobbit as having a blue beard. So obviously, Tolkien does establish that dwarves dye their beards. Maybe not all of them, or maybe not many of them. But I thought, screw it, it'll be fun. So I have done, and as you can see, I have done the hair like different colours. So, like the hair is like their natural colour, and I've used 4 colours, I think. So I've got reds, maybe 5, what's that? So he's got purple beard, he's got a blue beard, got some orange beards in here as well. And then I've got some green, I think. There we go, there's a green beard. What was that? 5, 4? I can't remember now. But anyway, that's quite fun. I like doing different colours and things, and I always have fun with things like that. That was just something different, something fun to do. You'll notice that a lot of they're actually very simple conversions. There's not actually too much work done. In the case of the Mattocks, I've just chopped the axe down a little bit and added an adze blade. Now this is one of the things obviously I really wanted to do when I was doing these, was creating like accurate mattocks, because a mattock is a tool. Well, initially anyway, I guess obviously these guys adapt them into weapons. But basically what a mattock is it's always got to have an adze head, and then it can either have an axe or a spike, and maybe a hammer. Is it Boffer's got a hammer on his? And that makes sense to me. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But the current the actual Forge World models, they don't have mattocks. They have like either pole hammers or like pole axes or something. That's what they actually have, like. But anyway, that's just me being pedantic. It doesn't really matter. As you can see, a couple of guys have got swords. They're all a bit different. They're all from different kits. I think that's a Rohan one. We've got a Minas Tirith one. But I quite like it. It's a bit of uniqueness. After all, dwarves are meant to be quite good smiths, so it's always possible these guys have made their own, so they're kind of their own different designs. Who knows? Maybe they're trading. Maybe although I feel like the dwarves want to make their own gear. Their gear's probably better. And I quite like that they're the sort of like I say longer swords. They're just the standard kind of arming type, but they're not specifically short swords in most cases. Although this little chappy here has got, I think it's a plastic sting actually, but it's a short sword. But I mean, it kind of makes more sense for the archers to have the shorter weapons, I guess. But like having just like a normal length sword makes a lot of sense for dwarves because they need the reach is shorter. It's not like they're less strong than humans. They can easily wield a well-made or well-balanced sword. You also might notice that the shields have got runes on them, and these are like official dwarven runes from Tolkien, I think. And in most cases, it's just sort of a runic I and a H, and then I think the banner's got a B for banner or something, and then the other guys have got a W for warrior, and then the captain has got, I think that's the C rune for captain, but it might be something else. I might have put lord or something. I might have taken some inspiration from ancient Greek stuff. And I'll just zoom in on one of these crossbows. These are like really simple conversions. They're literally just a bit of plastic card cut to shape, a hole drilled on one end, and then a little bit of brass rod, which is glued through it and then just kind of bent into shape. You'll notice I've left the normal arrows on. I guess I could have shortened them down to make them look a bit more like bolts, but I wasn't sure how good that was going to look. If it's going to look a bit messy. I think it's sufficient. They look all right. It's obvious that they're archers. I've given a few spears, which I don't actually know how really good it's going to be having spears on my crossbows. Although I guess it'd be nice to have them back people up. After all, crossbows have got the issue of if you move, you can't shoot. So I guess it helps to have something that can back up people with. But yeah, the spears are just really, really simple. They are just brass rods with the end sort of crimped and filed down. You can't really see very well on this video. Oh yeah, there you go. That's a bit better. I actually took the inspiration from a video I found on YouTube, and it was a chap. He was using bristles from just a normal plastic household brush. And he was that looked a lot easier, but it's just that I'd already bought brass rodding to do it, so I was like, well, I'll just use the brass rod. And to be honest, all I've done is I just crimp one end with a pair of pliers, and then I just kind of file it into a point. It's really not much work. I've already shown you a close-up of the mattocks, but they're just, the axe heads maybe cut down a little bit, and then it's an adze blade made from a bit of plastic card in most cases. With this one, I did actually just cut down and swap round one of the axe heads, just something different. I quite like that all the weapons look a bit different, and they're not too standard. They're all a bit unique. You also notice that I've painted a lot of the weapons different colors. Just it's fun, axe handles, spear handles. They're used wood. Why not paint them? I just thought that'd be fun. And then let's have another look at the banner. So that's meant to be a raven. It's inspired by, I think it's Harold Hardrada's banner actually is this, and could be better. But I'm not never that great at freehand stuff anyway. But I guess the more I practice, the more I'll improve. But at the end of the day, he's got a banner. It's pretty obvious what it's meant to be. That banner is just converted again from brass rods, and it's a little bit of the plastic from the blister packs you get some models in. But yeah, it's not actually particularly difficult like conversion work. Like okay, like I think I've repositioned a few of the hands and stuff, but yeah, it's not. It doesn't take much really. I think a couple of shields are, the green stuff. They're made from like the Oyamaru push molds. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys.